But here, on the very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. Joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
Your co-host, Julie.
Hello from the great warm north where it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Has the smoke finally started clearing?
Yes, and restarted.
Oh, God. Your co-host, Thorsten.
Hello from Germany. It's currently raining for over 2 weeks now.
Oh, shit. Can you send some of that rain over? Can you send some of that rain over here, please? We are...
No.
I would love to.
Get so used.
We have enough right now.
Yeah, right. So 2 weeks. Like, I think if it rained here in Los Angeles for 2 weeks, there would be deaths. Like, people would die. I don't think people can handle it. Also joining us is your co-host, Jacob.
The consequence of my actions.
And your co-host, David.
We so back.
Wait, what? What was that?
We're back.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. So, hey, everyone, we have a topic show today. And it's Jacob's topic. So, Jacob, why don't you take it away and explain your topic, and then we'll get started.
So I have come up with the topic completely off the cuff with after thinking about some games I enjoy playing, and how many games ended up becoming genres. I presume you know what the topic is because you can read the title. Throughout the years, we've had a lot of these. We, of course, back in the olden days, what we now call the first-person shooter was known as the Doom clone.
Right.
Recently, we've had the Souls-like as a genre appear. We've had multitudes of other games that ended up essentially starting entire genres or perhaps subgenres as by themselves.
Vampire Survivors is another one. FTL.
Like that one.
Another one.
FTL... Does that count as a genre? It kind of counts as a genre.
It started the whole... It does, because it had started the whole sector jumping roguelike phenomenon. Like, there wasn't
and
really
hey,
one...
there's actual roguelikes originating from the game Rogue.
Yes, exactly. Yes, very good. So
now what we want to talk about here is games that we wished became a genre, or started a genre, or basically had more imitators. I guess that is the best term for it.
Well, what games made you think? Which games made you think of this topic?
Well, that's well, I was probably thinking of games that had a genre, but one of the big things I've thought about is that I guess it's a game that kind of became a genre in limited amounts, but should be more of one, and that's the game Mount and Blade. Very awkward name to pronounce, but a very fun game in of itself.
Yeah, you want to say Mountain Blade. You just want to say Mountain Blade. It's just one of flows like that. Your brain wants to do that. Yeah, I totally get it.
Oh.
For those who are somehow unfamiliar with Turkey's greatest invention,
Aside from Spaceborne and Spaceborne 2.
Opinion.
Can we agree on both?
We can agree on both.
I honestly didn't know Mount and Blade. It is tough to say. Came from Turkey. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's Turkish. Taylor, was it Taylor? I just committed a sin, I think. 1 second.
Yeah.
It was Tailwords. I was thinking I confused it with someone else. No, it is Tailwords Entertainment from Turkey. According to the wiki page, put together in 2005. Mountain Blade released, of course, in 2008. It released an entire series following. And hey, recently Battlelore came out. But for those who don't know what the game is, somehow, it is effectively a combination medieval combat game simulator thing with extensive management of a sort of larger fighting company, as I would best describe it. Eventually scaling up into ruling a kingdom, doing diplomacy, and all sorts of fun stuff. The original Mountain Blade, of course, then developed into, at this point, I think 5 sequels. Though, and we are currently on the most recent one, Mountain Blade 2. Yes, the 6th game in the series, number 2. Which is Bannerlord, which was a game that I could best describe as Half-Life 3 levels of development hell.
Yes.
So everyone, and I mean everyone on the planet, was utterly baffled when they saw this game actually get released and come out in early access and be playable. Hell, it's available fully. It got a full release. It's fun. It didn't live up to the 10 years of hype, but also no one expected it to. The modding community is great, though. It's still growing because the game has a higher fidelity, so it requires more effort to mod, unlike the original Mountain Blade, which you could make a character model out of 6 polygons and a twig. But the thing is, this entire genre of you are a person on a battlefield, but you get to actually command an entire force. There are individual examples of it, but they're very uncommon. The biggest one I can think of that's pertaining to our focus here, Space Game Junkie, Starpoint Gemini Warlords, I believe was the name.
Okay, yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Which operated on a very similar principle, in that you have your own little faction, you have your own ship, which you get to do stuff in, but also you get to command other ships in an RTS layer, or assign those ships to you and lead them into battle for the glory and or for profit. But besides that,
well, Luke brought up Luke brought up a couple in the chat that I think are at least adjacent. Star Sector, I would say, is kind of similar.
I see a point. That's fair. I see a point.
And Sands of Salazar.
Salazar. I've never heard of that one. So
it's very good.
Sands of, yeah. For Sands of Salazar, think if you took the combat of a Diablo-like, put the army layer on top of it of the Mountain Blade-like, where you're controlling the one character as you have your army around you.
Yeah.
Well as any of the heroes you've recruited to your cause.
That sounds more like Dynasty Warriors, actually.
It has a little bit of that because the devs are Chinese.
Yeah, a little bit of that too.
And looking at it, it has a little bit of Dynasty Warriors, both aesthetically and in terms of...
I could say I could totally see it adjacent to both of these types of games. Totally.
I need to get it then. I've never heard of this game.
Oh, it's great.
I'm surprised. So good. You're gonna like it.
Oh,
you're going to like it.
So good, sir. That game is so good. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think there was there's been a couple of modern Mountain Blade style games that came out in the last few years as well.
In fact, one is currently in early access, Total Conflict Resistance, which I have played. It is modern. I'd say it's pretty good. It has a lot of work to do, but it does have a lot of work going into it.
You're kind of undermining my point here. I went into this going in, I wish it was more of a genre, and then you posted 5 games that I like.
No, that's still not much of a genre. Like, how many Doom clones were there? How many Command and Conquer clones were there? You know, I mean, just because 4 games were made in this one vein doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make it an entire genre in and of itself. Yeah, it just means that there are others that have taken inspiration from it.
Yeah, there are 4 games inspired by. Yes, there are a few games inspired by, but it's not. I think it still fits because that's not enough to make a genre. Sadly,
that's fair. I believe there should be more.
If you're talking dozens of games, then you might have a genre on your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it's single digits, it's not. Okay. Because
exactly.
Define what a genre is, or how many games require a genre, because we're not professionals.
I'd say at least 10 or 12. It's a matter of scale. I'd say at least 10 or 12. Yeah, at least. You know, that if we're gonna put a number on it, I'd say at least around a dozen to make it something of a genre or a subgenre, or however you want to qualify it. But yeah, just because I would say if there's enough games to
for people to say it's a such and such like.
Yeah, if there's enough games that there's a like tag on Steam, then it's a genre.
Well, I don't think it has to go that far.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
With a few dozen games that you could point to and say this is where it has some common DNA. Then you could say, okay, that's a subgenre that one could point to that game and say these are games like it, and generally speaking, people will know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. That's fair.
So that's a pretty good example because I mean maybe it's the complexity of the thing that doesn't lead a lot of people to imitate it. I don't know.
Yeah, it does require a lot of effort to put together. It is a game that has a lot of like interlocking system, and it is horribly jank even when it works.
Fair.
Jank.
I don't mind, but I'm also me. I am Sir Jankington the Mighty, who has grown up on playing games like Stalker, and who
I think they just announced. I think they just announced the release date for Stalker 2, didn't they?
They've announced it a couple times, but they had to delay it because they got bombed. Which fair.
Yeah.
Fernando,
as in literally.
As in literally, they got bombed by Russians. Yes.
Fernando, failed games count as a genre. No, we're talking about games we wish would have done well enough, or are popular enough, or whatever to spawn their own genre or subgenre. That's what we're talking about. So
they could be games that did well for their for the time in which they were released, but didn't necessarily do well enough to have imitators.
Right, or it could have actually failed, but it has a cult following.
Yes, or you could argue for like games that are like they are conceptually good, but kind of flaunter in execution. Which I was going to bring up an example of a game that Brian here has attempted playing and failed.
Go ahead.
Subwar 2050.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed.
Yeah,
but I'm weird.
Well, I think it's. I'm just gonna say why I'm not gonna say I didn't enjoy it. I just think I don't have the patience for that 90s difficulty anymore. And that game, I think it was the second mission. Like, we want you to escort this guy in and escort him out, but while he's doing his thing, you have to protect him from 12 subs. But you're by yourself. It's like, wait a minute. No.
That is entirely fair.
I'm not wasting my life doing this.
But I've actually went back and even contemporary reviews were complaining the game is both overly difficult and also unfairly difficult, to the point it was difficult in a manner that's very exploitable because it's bound by scripting and bound by like events. Like you do a thing and then thingies spawn on a set spawn point, so you can just go there and blow them up, which hence we bring in this back to Subwar 2050 conceptually is a brilliant idea. It's a vehicular stealth game about operating small fighter plane-sized submarines, sneaking about, launching torpedoes at things, doing cool stuff at the bottom of the ocean, which is fun. The game itself fails in execution, in my opinion, chiefly because of its inconsistent difficulty, its fiddly controls, the fact that even in the fact that despite a lot of contemporary games having great manuals, this one just doesn't.
Yeah,
just doesn't tell you a lot of things, especially in terms of controls.
For a Microprose game, it's especially disappointing because Microprose.
The same Microprose, like they have the audacity when you leave the game to like advertise XCOM and I think F19 on the exit screen.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
I know it's XCOM. I don't
if you
remember
like
if it's F19.
this, you should play these better games.
I mean, yeah, all these games are better. XCOM is brilliant. Which
that brings me actually to the next point. First, about the difficulty. Jagged Alliance 3 won't be for you, Brian, then, because it's pretty much on that level.
No, that's why I haven't gotten it. Yeah, I played the hell out of.
It's a great game that you would hate.
Yeah, I think
it
so.
would not be for you.
Yeah, no,
I love it though.
I played the hell out of Deadly Games. That was the Jagged Alliance I first played. I played the fuck out of it. I went back for the first one and played a bit of it. I like the second one too, but today, no. I don't have the patience for it. I know I don't.
I love it immensely.
I'm just happy it's good. After all those failed attempts to revive the series with those other those few other games that weren't good at all. I'm really glad the actual Jagged Alliance 3 is apparently actually very good. So I'm thrilled to hear that. I'm thrilled. Because it deserved it, Jagged Alliance 2 was so good, it deserved a proper sequel. It only took 2 decades to get a one.
2 decades and several failures, I believe.
Yeah. Several failures in between, yes.
Despite it's giving me literal nightmares in real life and connected to real life events. Let's put it that way. But that brings me actually to my choice. Because there was never an occasion that somebody said it's XCOM like or something, or that this whole type of gaming saying squad tactics and with a strategic layer got an actual genre in itself. It means of using it as a separate genre,
Are you talking about the Total War games?
Yes.
No, about XCOM.
But I was just at the point of XCOM, and it was never really I rarely read that somebody said, "Oh, it's an XCOM like," or something, or described Jagged Alliance in that way.
I mean, would you call Final Fantasy Tactics an XCOM like? It doesn't have the strategic layer, so I guess not. No, you're talking about a game with like a strategic layer and a tactical layer, like kind of thing.
Yeah, that brings me to the next choice. Actually, the Total War series, because that has a grand strategic layer and a tactical layer on a larger level, up to whole armies on the battlefield. That's differentiating it from the XCOM likes.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
and you're not wrong. I mean, besides the Total War series itself, there aren't a lot of other games.
The Kingdom Wars series, which I've played a lot of.
Oh yeah, those are pretty good.
That has, they have the RTS layer of the world map, as well as an RTS layer for each individual city, where the cities of Europe many of them have a unique map. And as you are in the town view or the city view, depending on where you are looking at, and you build locations, those locations are static on the map, and they are persistent. So when you have to fight a battle there later, then those places you built are available to use.
Right.
So nobody would call them so a Total War like.
No, and there aren't a lot of games that have a separate strategic layer and like a real time. Like there are some random real time strategy games that do it, like Rise of Nations and Emperor of Dune. I mean, there's a few of those.
There is Age of Wonders.
But
sure.
Yes.
Kind of close because it has that turn-based combat.
Yeah, kind of close because it does zoom down to the battlefield like the original Master of Magic did.
But not enough to be a subgenre.
Yeah, I don't
pointed to and say, this common DNA kind of thing.
Yeah, God, when I think of Master of Magic and Age of Wonders, I never think of it in the same vein as Total War. Like,
right.
If I may, to me now, I've only just kind of had this in my radar a little bit, and watched a bunch of demos. But to me, having failed dismally at trying to play Total War and considered playing the other one, Age of Wonders. In Total War, there's really nothing to defend. It's just on the battlefield. But the other one is there not something to defend that you like a tower defense, like you've got your little place you've built up, whether it's a castle or something.
Well, if
Age
you're
of
talking
Wonders.
about
Age of Wonders.
Age of Wonders. That's you have some town defense stuff where if you're placed within the town, you can get certain bonuses, like if you're behind walls. But
when I went to play Total Warfare, it was just the Empire that wanted to beat the snot out of the orcs.
Oh, Warhammer, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think, Thorsten, though, you have a point that Total War, as popular as it is, hasn't really spawned much in the way of imitators, as that one Spaz mentioned. But
yeah,
maybe, I don't know. I mean, it can't be easy to make a Total War game. I mean, they're so notorious for being buggy and problematic, too.
If they ever have a version where it's the Scots beating the snot out of the English, I'll pay double price for it.
There is Medieval 2.
Doesn't Medieval 2 have that? Doesn't Medieval 2 have that? I thought Medieval 2 had that.
Yes, it does.
It does. Yeah.
So yeah, and you can probably find Medieval 2 for pretty cheap, Julie. And there's some really great mods for it also.
Medieval 2 is on Steam for like $15 to $20, I think that is, but it's there.
Yeah, it goes. I'm sure it goes on sale
every major. It
goes on sale relatively often. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
my great grandparents, who were no doubt crofters, want the Highlands back.
So yeah, it sounds
I would say so that the best way to start is the first game, in my opinion.
Oh, Shogun.
So Shogun, right?
I've heard a lot. I know a lot of people consider Medieval 2 to be the best of the series.
But it's much
more complicated. Yeah, and you can get Shogun. I think you can get them all. And didn't they have a remaster of Shogun? I think.
No, they had a sequel, Shogun 2 Total War, which is very good. Still my favorite in the series.
That is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Really
I would not recommend getting like the super old ones, the ones before Rome. So Medieval 1 and Shogun, because they are dramatically different from the following, and they have a lot of fiddly and generally less than spectacular mechanics. The game really, like the series, in my opinion, started really well with Rome 1 and then Medieval 2. And then all the others are also.
To be fair, I would actually posit that for Julie, the Kingdom Wars games are a better fit for her than the Total War games.
Kingdom Wars, they're like Total War games, but medieval, and they have zombies and.
Well, not it. The zombies are an optional thing.
I know, but I love that they have zombies. I think it's hilarious that they have zombies.
One of them is the Black Plague is happening, and so you're actually having to decide whether or not to quarantine your cities as the Black Plague just sweeps through Europe.
I played
the Kingdom Wars series is really good.
Is very good.
I'm wondering if the game I played a long time ago, and this goes back to the 80s. I played a game, and I don't know if this was Kingdom Wars or not, but it was set in medieval Japan, and what attracted me to it at the time, in the Shogunate era, and what attracted me to it at the time is because, I used to live in Korea and visit back there, and you can visit Japan on your weekend. And I don't know if this was Kingdom Wars or not. It was just a game where you were the shogun trying to take over all of Japan. Is maybe that the game you're talking about?
No, it's a separate series. Kingdom Wars is a more recent, within the last 10 years or so. However, the one you're probably thinking of is Nobunaga's Ambition, or something along those lines.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow, what a way to nail it, Spaz. Good job.
Well, it's actually a long running series.
I know.
There have been that one is. I played on the NES back in the 80s. So, I'm well aware of it.
Yeah, I think the latest one is Sphere of Influence from 2015, and that's like the 9th game or something in the series. It's like a very long...
Actually,
very long-running series.
Apparently, it's Awakening from last year.
Oh, wait, there's a one...
Oh, okay, there was that one. Yeah, there was that one.
I forgot about that one.
Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening came out last year, and from what I can tell, it's the only one on PC. I think.
No. Sphere of Influence is on PC. It's on Steam.
Oh, okay.
If I may, speaking of things beating the snot out of other things, I would like to introduce one of my favorite series, which there isn't a lot like, and I will link the latest one in the chat. And a lot of people, when I say Pikmin, they say, "What the devil's a Pikmin?" So for those who are, I keep forgetting this is not just video.
I barely know him.
And for those of you out there listening only who don't know what a Pikmin is, imagine a raindrop. Take a raindrop, put a small body on underneath it. Put a flower on the top of the raindrop. Give it a face on the raindrop, arms and legs on the small body, and make it sentient, and it's a Pikmin. And the deal with the Pikmin is this is a small world like you've seen some of the garden things where you've Honey, I Shrunk the Developers, and there's no horrifying insects in it, which is fortunate. And there's the latest one has a cute as a button dog in it, which the ones previous to that didn't. And you control the Pikmin by whistle. And the whole idea behind the Pikmin games is you are in this latest one, you are riding your dog, you're controlling the Pikmin by whistle, and you have survivors to rescue, and you go throughout the garden picking up small things like shovels and candy bars and whatnot. And it is a whopping lot of fun when I am not working on my book, which is finally finished and probably due out early next year. I am playing this game when I am otherwise managing 117 real estate properties. This is, I love this thing. I wish it were a genre. I didn't think of it at first. There are 4 of these. I have played 2. And the Pikmin 4 is just, I just kind of, my mind gets engrossed in this because it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Developers games, but no horrifying things that want to kill me, and the best you can do is it just says, "Oh, you're exhausted and you fainted," and everybody's happy, and I love this.
I don't know if you know this. There's a Pikmin-like game on Steam called Tinykin, which apparently people absolutely are gaga for. I will put it in the chat here.
Please do.
Yeah, apparently, from what I understand, anyone who loves Pikmin will absolutely love this game.
Yeah, I see it's a similar appeal, though it's a different art style.
Yeah, very different art style, but I'm told this one is a lot less stressful than the Pikmin games, especially the earlier Pikmin games. Apparently, the earlier Pikmin games were pretty stressful. But you've convinced me to add the new one to my wish list on the Nintendo store.
Yeah, the only thing now, I don't know that you can do it with Pikmin 4. The early Pikmin games, it was kind of like don't get caught out by sundown, which I won't go into that because I hate that. But there in Pikmin 3, you could just say, "Oh well, there's no sundown, just have a good time." But this one I played a lot, and I really enjoyed it, and I wish it was a thing. Little things, and I'll paraphrase Napoleon Bonaparte in the movie Time Bandits, where he says, little things beating the snot out of big things, what's not to like?
Right.
Fair. All right.
Yeah, considering how popular the Pikmin games, I mean, they were Nintendo only, so maybe that's one of the reasons. But like, considering
that's the big one.
They're considering how like I worked in a video game store when the first and second ones were out, and you couldn't keep them on the shelves long enough. They would always fly off the shelves. Like any GameCube owner, within a certain distance would just like, do you have Pikmin? Yeah. Okay. And they'd drive 30, 40, 50 miles for one copy of Pikmin.
Well, I first became aware of this when I was kind of scanning YouTube, and there was this guy that calls himself Arlo, and he has this. I'm surprised he's never been sued by the people who make Sesame Street, because he does the whole thing like a Cookie Monster puppet. And I said, this is insane. But then I watched it and I said, yeah, I kind of like this. And he wouldn't quit shutting up about Pikmin. And I said, finally had a Switch, and I said, I got to play Pikmin. And he's right. Can't get enough. When's Pikmin 5?
Well, this one just came out, right? Pikmin 4, it just came out.
Yeah, it just came out. Yeah.
That's why it's still $60. But, that's what wish lists are for.
But, and the great thing is, at the popularity of this one, they said, we better put the Pikmin 1 and 2 out on Switch. Yay, Nintendo.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't you put your old games on the damn thing?
Nintendo Corporation
has Nintendo. That's your answer.
They also have a tendency to say, okay, if this was out on like one of the last console generations, they say they've even gone so far as to say, we won't sell it to you on the old consoles, but we will let you play it if you subscribe to our online, which is kind of a nasty kind of thing. And we've seen a lot of games disappear that way, which kind of irks me.
Yeah, like a lot of people, including myself, are upset about the 3DS store or the just completely disappearing. Like there's so many games that are just gone,
and they're just lost to time,
just gone.
Absolutely, and I've told people this. I say, as soon as everybody says, "I want Switch 2," I said, "Yeah." As soon as Switch 2 comes out, the eShop for Switch 1 goes away.
God, I hope not. I hope they're smarter than that. They might be. They've made some great decisions and they've made some terrible decisions. Like great decision, letting you play Game Boy Advance games on the DS. Amazing decision. And then they've made some terrible decisions, i.e. the Virtual Boy. So,
and the last time out, I didn't even have to say, when does it come out on the Switch? The dev just said, it's going to come out on the Switch. I said, yay, you!
I mean, it's tough to get a game on Switch, but it makes sense if you think it fits, it makes sense to put it on that platform. It's a great platform.
But for me, the reason I play Switch so much is Fran one day, she just said, look up in your room. And I said, wow, a new whiz-bang computer. And when I done fighting the parrot for it, who's smart as a 5-year-old, it's in my room, right? And I kind of get tired of being isolated in my room. And with the Switch, I can play it anywhere I want.
Yeah. I'm about to go on vacation, and I'm very happy to have a Switch. Even though I have other portables, that's probably one of the two I'm going to take.
Okay. Bring your Switch and download Skyrim.
I already have Skyrim for the Switch. It's
wonderful.
It's terrific. It's absolutely terrific on the Switch. Yeah, it is. That is a great one.
I got another genre, and then after this, I'll shut up. I promise.
Okay.
And now, granted, with this one, I have autophobia, and some people will say, what the heck is autophobia? No, I'm not afraid of Chevys. Somebody kidnapped me in college, and I got away. So I have this phobia about being alone. So when they came out with this game, I linked it. It's the Subnautica. There's 2 of them. And you were alone in the whole big ocean world. And when everybody wanted to be a fireman and a nurse, I wanted to be an oceanographer like Jacques Cousteau. And what I love about this game is you get to explore underwater, and I love this game. There are a few like it, but it's not like the submarine games, which I used to play a lot, because there are purposefully no weapons beyond a knife in this. And it is mostly about exploring the underwater world, and it is just amazing. There's a few games like this that are just exploring, and that's what I like about this, because I'm just wanted to be a marine biologist when I was growing up. I made the mistake of trying to get into the Harvard of oceanography schools when I was growing up, and I could probably get in now, but if I'm over 60 and I don't want to go back to school. But that's what I loved about this. And I know it's a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche, but I love underwater exploration games.
Yeah,
a quick question. Have you checked out Abzu?
I have it on the PC, and it's also on Switch, and I do like that one as well.
I think you should also check out Dave the Diver.
That I saw that came out recently, and I have not checked that out.
It is absolutely delightful. It's a diving game. It's a diving roguelike / restaurant management sim that is ridiculously charming. It's so charming and fun. I mean, it's fun to play also. But you go fish.
Something called Echo the Dolphin. I've never heard of that one.
Oh, that's an old series.
Dolphin,
that's an old series.
Yeah, that originally came out on the Sega Genesis, and it had a couple of sequels, but it's a dead series in terms of...
Which is a shame.
Yeah, you played as a dolphin, and eventually you end up fighting aliens.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. That's part of this. That's literally a part of it.
Things escalate.
That just makes me wonder what came first: Sequest ESV fighting aliens or Echo the Dolphin fighting aliens.
My hero growing up was Jacques Cousteau and his con shelf experiments. This is why when we have my three friends and we have a regular movie night, and I always wanted to watch The Abyss, and she said, I have it. And this is why when they got down real low, I said to everybody, why aren't they talking like chipmunks? And they said, what? I said, they're supposed to be breathing heliox at this point.
Still a great movie.
Something that occurred to me during the talk right now. There was never the occasion that somebody called games pirates-like in sense of the original Sid Meier's Pirates. I mean, there were several games in that direction, like
Sea Dogs,
Sword of the Samurai, and to name different genres in that regard, or covert action. And I find it a bit sad that this type of game. Saying you've got a main layer and later on mini games to solve.
Oh yeah,
vanished a bit. I mean, the Judgment games or Yakuza series is pretty much in that regard, but not in that way in my.
So
opinion.
Like an open world game directing you to a bunch of mini games, basically.
Yeah, nobody calls them that way. I mean, Luke is right. Half of the Trees Brothers games are pirates-like.
That's fair.
That's correctly.
The Tracy Brothers have made several games that are in that same kind of genre. That's true.
Yeah, that's fair.
But nobody calls them that way.
No.
What about Atlas? Atlas is a pirate game.
Atlas?
Yeah, if you don't, by the same people who made Ark Survival Evolved, if you don't mind having your butt handed to you in multiplayer.
No. I don't mean the specific pirates topic. I mean the main layer of a game with mini games that you play in that regard.
Yeah,
as I said, like covert action or samurai,
like a larger. There's a larger narrative connecting you to these mini games that you have to play to move on through the narrative.
Right.
And
that's what I mean. There was another game published by Sierra in the mid '90s. I might, when I remember the
Jones in the Fast Lane.
No. When I remember the name, I link it in the chat. Conqueror 186 AD.
Oh,
wait a moment.
I remember seeing that one in the store. But I never played it.
There are games kind of like that. There are games kind of like that. There was one that was published by Koei, and it was released on PC and console at the time in the 90s. Uncharted Waters, where you are commanding a ship, which you can eventually get a small fleet following you around, and you could travel the world as an explorer, a pirate, you could be a adventurer, or a merchant, and you're just traveling around doing things to raise your fame, depending on the career path you chose.
Yes, that's correct. And I liked that series, but it lacks those mini games. If I remember correctly, it's quite some time since I played it.
You could actually land and search for treasure. That was one thing that was one mini game that they definitely had in both of the original entries. And I say both of the original entries because the third entry was an MMO and not really that great, in my opinion.
So you might have another example of this type I'm thinking about.
Final Fantasy XIV not only has mini games, they've got a casino.
Julie, please wait. That has a pretty good example.
Yeah. There is one that I brought up on the stream this morning, and it is the first Dune game. Because it starts out as an adventure game. It starts out with you playing as Paul Atreides. You are effectively recreating the early part of the first book. And the backstory is this. You're sent to Arrakis with your family to mine spice to send to the Emperor. And it's great. It's really great because it starts off as an adventure game as you're traveling around the palace, and you're talking to the various members of the family and household, and then you get sent out to travel to the various sieges to deal with the Fremen leaders who have decided to join your cause. And then the exploration begins. You start traveling to other sieges. You're told, hey, there's a siege over this way. We don't know exactly where it is, but if you travel eastward, you should see it. And then you travel in an ornithopter, and you eventually find it just by traveling in a direction. You actually have to go out and explore. Once you've found a siege, you can fast travel back and forth as much as you like. But if you fast travel between locations, you won't spot anything in between. And then you send those Fremen leaders mining for you to various places until they've mined out all the spice, and then you have to send them to other places to keep on mining more spice because capitalism. And then you earn their trust, and then you start training them as an army. And then you start fighting back. So it goes from being an adventure game at first to having this major strategic layer over that. And as Paul's powers of perception grow, as he's exposed to more spice, he gets the ability to telepathically talk to the other leaders at a distance, and his distance can actually range to the entire planet. So at first, you have to travel around by ornithopter, getting to them and talking to them individually, and then you can talk to them from anywhere. And you're commanding this army. You are having them get sandworms and take them to enemy bases. and take over those bases, freeing prisoners along the way. Those troops join you. And then you go and become a wave. It's amazing, but there are basically no games that are like that I've ever seen that have taken that kind of formula. It's amazing stuff. It really, really is.
I'll have to play it at some point. Yeah, I keep hearing. You guys keep talking about how good that game is. I never played that one. I only played. Was Dune 2 the real-time strategy game?
Yes. This is not a real-time strategy.
Right. I know. That's the only one I played.
The RTS sense. Yeah, what I'm saying is it has real-time elements. The time keeps on moving. And so as you travel between locations, the time keeps on moving. So it doesn't have time acceleration in that sense. But as you travel, the time keeps on moving. So any battles that are in progress will keep on going. And if you approach the battle while riding on a worm, and the battle's still ongoing, you'll get this night vision view where it looks like some of the battles that took place during Operation Desert Storm, where people are looking through night vision and you're seeing flak going up into the sky and explosions everywhere. It's very simplistic because it was 1992, but still, it was kind of impressive.
Right. Yeah, I will have to give it a shot because it looks really good. Shame it's not on sale anywhere.
Yeah, probably due to licensing issues. I played it on the Sega CD.
Wow, you had a Sega CD. I
still have the Sega CD, and I still have the disc.
I think I know. Yes. I think I've known 3 people in my life that have had the Sega CD.
Oh, I not only had the Sega CD, I have the CDX.
Oh, shit.
CDX is the portable version of it. Oh, I mean, God. Portable because it was the size of a large CD player.
Quote unquote portable. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was. For the 90s, it was portable.
Well, I'm saying portable because you could just put it in a backpack and carry it around if you really wanted to.
Right. Wow. Man, yeah, I'll have to give it a shot. Maybe I'll add it to the streaming list because it sounds like something that I might actually enjoy. And it's pretty linear, which is good for me. I like
it's mostly linear.
Which is good.
Mostly linear.
Which is good for
certain... Oh, and a little bit of trivia. Because it's Dune. The ornithopters in that game inspired the ornithopters that were used in the most recent Dune film. They actually took the design from that.
Are those the ones that are coming to Flight Simulator? Those those things, those bug-looking things?
Yeah.
Which is the funniest, I think one of the funniest crossovers I have ever seen.
I welcome it.
Friends, you know what we're talking about. An upcoming update to Microsoft's 2020 Flight Simulator is going to have those helicopter things from Dune. Like, what? I don't know if you can fly around the Dune planet with them, but you can fly one if you want. Sure, okay. just make a.
And I agree with you, Fernando. That game was ahead of its time. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like they had adventure games, but they rarely mixed them with other things. Like the only thing I can think of is if you've played Mission Critical, it's a full motion video adventure game with Michael Dorn, of all people. And in the middle of that game, it turns into like this amazing space strategy game for like 5 minutes. It is such a good strategy game that they could have spawned it off into its own game. It was so good. And yet you have to play hours of this adventure game just to get to it. And then you never see it again.
I'm probably one of the few people that beat Dune. But I beat it several times back in the 90s. So, yeah. It's good. It's better than the reviews at the time said it was. I think it has some antiquated ideas in its design. But for its time, it was ahead of its time in that respect. That the genre mixing of it was ahead of its time.
Right. Yeah, it's a shame, like, because even its sequel didn't try to emulate it. it's just kind of sad.
Well, no, I don't think it wasn't even as a sequel. They just called it Dune 2 because it was a second game in the franchise.
Oh,
had nothing to do with it. No, had nothing at all to do with the gameplay of the original.
What?
Yeah, they didn't want to slap on another subtitle to it, so they just called it Dune 2.
Oh boy. Another example of people not trusting their audience, I guess. We have to call it Dune. We have to call it Dune 2, or else people won't know it's another. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, a little bit of trivia about that game too. The Dune 2 Harvesters inspired the look of the Harvesters in the latest movie as well.
And isn't part 2 of that coming out soon? Right?
Very soon, end of the year. I think November, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not far away at all.
Right. I'm totally excited.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I like the first entry, and the second movie is going to adapt the second half of the book, pretty much. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have any other games to mention? Because I think there's 2 people who haven't.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I do. I've got one more.
All right.
There was a PlayStation 2 game by the name of Ring of Red.
Oh,
and this was a mech game.
Yes.
I've talked about this before.
Yes, I've played it. I have a copy. I feel very fortunate to have a copy of it.
I have a copy as well.
It's so good. It's hard to play. It's not an easy game to play.
Yeah. But to give an idea for those who have never played it, have no idea what I'm talking about. It's a mech game along the lines of the tile-based front mission games from decades past. And when you decide to attack with your mech, you have a team of squaddies that are with you, and depending on the active squad, they can be riding in front, they can be riding on the mech itself, they could be in your reserve behind you. And depending on which one is the active team, that can affect what attacks you're able to use. And there is a timing mechanic of getting your shots aimed in, dialed in on the target. And if you take too long to dial them in, because you are on a timer, your enemy can fire at you and wipe out any progress you've made with trying to dial in your attack. So think XCOM of the more recent XCOM 1 and 2. And you have percentages to hit, except real time, that you're actually dialing in your attack as you attempt to dial that in, and shots that hit you will interrupt you. It's like that.
Yeah, it is.
There's only one series that comes close to that, and that's the Valkyria Chronicles series, particularly 1 and 4, because I played through both of them, and they're very good. Right. But those 3 games alone, they don't make a genre.
Yeah, and Ring of Red was, oh god, I never got far in it because I'm like, wow, I am dying a lot. I think I'm just going to stop.
It's a difficult game.
It's a very difficult game.
Very difficult. Yeah. I never beat it either, so don't feel bad.
I don't. It's actually kind of comforting, to be perfectly honest, because it is. I was like, oh god, I am terrible at this. This looks so great, but I'm just gonna get mad if I keep playing this. Oh god, Ring of Red is so good. If you guys can go emulate that one. Because I can't.
There's one game that's actually I just realized you and I both played a game that is in that same kind of genre.
What's that?
Infinite Space.
Oh,
on the DS.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Infinite Space was very, very similar in the way you're talking about. Yeah. Forgot all about it. Yeah, Infinite Space is another game I just had to stop playing because I kept getting stuck.
I have beaten that one, but it took a long
time. Oh my God.
60 hours or so.
Good on you, because I got to a point where it's like, okay, I've got no money, I need jobs. Hey, there are no jobs. Okay, I guess I'm not going anywhere now. Oh, well.
Yeah, you can soft lock yourself very easily in that one.
Oh, God. I've tried it twice, and I've done that both times. It's like, okay, I guess I'm not going to play this anymore. Yeah, because it's like, wait, there are no jobs at all? How am I supposed to do anything? Okay, fine, we're done. But I wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it. But, oh, my God, it hated me. It hated me so much.
Yeah, those games fit under games that need a remake.
Oh, I agree. David, do you have anything? I think you said you had something.
Yeah, I actually found something here.
Yay!
So I've been, yeah, I guess you guys were, your people were correct, but maybe we'll find something eventually. And that's going to be probably some kind of, how can I easily most describe it? Because I can only remember one game in this very kind of category.
What was that?
And that's going to be a flight adventure game, so to speak, like Sky Odyssey back in 2000. I've been talking about this one before, long ago, I think.
Yeah, I think you have mentioned this one before. I haven't played it.
So basically, you fly airplanes in not super realistic scenario, but fighting the elements, basically. Heavy wind, bad weather in general.
Ooh.
Different kind of challenges, and all to lead Tower of Maximus, which is a feat to reach. It's really cool. I have not seen many games like this ever since, and I would love to see a remake of this. But yeah, flight adventure games. I mean, we have had some exploration in space games, like Everspace 2 have explorable caves and stuff, but now I'm talking about a plane that's constantly in motion, so you can't just stop on a dime if you need to make a U-turn.
I mean, I guess Crimson Skies, maybe? Would that? Are you talking about a flight adventure game, or are you talking about a flight
adventure game? No combat at all.
Oh, so Ultra Wings also wouldn't count because there's combat in that. I mean,
so basically, you fight in the control to the weather.
Maybe like the original Pilot Wings, perhaps, would fit in that kind of.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe never played it myself, though.
To an extent, Stunt Island. I suppose.
Yeah, like you played on stream. Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Stunt Island would work. Yeah.
I haven't had many of those since then, right?
No, Stunt Island.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah,
that'd be another one that could also. Yeah, Stunt Island. If that could totally fit in this vein of why aren't there more games like that? Yeah.
And promoting non-combat as well, because too many games are just about destroying things. So
I'm gonna keep an eye.
It would be nice to have a change up.
I'm gonna keep an eye because I have a system that can play PS2 games. I'm gonna keep an eye out for that on the PS2 for a copy of that because that looks like my jam. You know, that looks great. That looks really great.
Also, in that game, you can also upgrade those free starter planes with new upgrades and change your build. So if you want to make a plane more agile or faster, you can specialize. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that does look pretty great. Okay, I'm definitely adding this to my list of PlayStation 2 games I've been keeping an eye out for. Build my little collection over here. But yeah, that looks great, dude. That looks great. I gotta say, that really looks like my jam. It's terrific. Because I mean, there aren't a lot. I mean, you have games like Flight Simulator, but you don't really do anything in Flight Simulator except fly from one place to another. There's no like races or objectives really besides what you make. So this looks pretty good actually. Kind of like an air racing game almost.
A little bit, I suppose.
But yeah, there's exploration elements too. Look at that. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely keeping an eye out for this one. All right, we're at an hour, so I'll wrap us up. There are two games I wanted to mention. We'll just mention them real fast. The one is on the stream here, Millennia Altered Destinies, which is a game I've brought up before. It is a time travel game from the mid-90s where you're in charge of guiding the fates of 4 civilizations so that they can help you build the ultimate weapon to take out these like nanobot enemy things that have been ruining the future over and over again. And you have like it's amazing because you can jump to these conflict points in time for each of these species, and then you can try and help them solve a conflict, and then you could look at the timeline and see like, oh look, I failed them because they're all dead now. Oh no. And then you probably have to restart the game. I've never seen a game handle time travel better. And I really wish there were more games like this that like not only were kind of open and gave you a multitude of ways to try and solve problems through combat, through diplomacy, all sorts of ways. But there was no straight one way to win, from what I remember. Like you really had to spin 4 plates in the air in order to succeed. And it was, I've never finished it. I've gotten close once, and then one of the species died. It's like, okay, well, fuck. I have to restart. So I really wish that game would have done well enough to spawn imitators, because it's such a unique game. Oh no, I have 3 games to talk about that I wish there were more of. So the second game I want to talk about is Mega Fortress, which I've brought up many times.
I was wondering if it was going to come up this time.
Yeah, it did. Pretty much still the only pure bomber flight sim you'll find. I mean, there's some other bombery flight sims like, Tornado and B-17, I guess. So there are a couple of like World War II bomber sims, but there's nothing modern. You know, nothing from the Cold War on. There's nothing. Like Tornado, I think, is the closest you get. And even that game does,
because in most cases that's difficult to pull off, because a Cold War era bomber goes to a place flying at like 7 million kilometers above sea level, drops bombs on the place, comes back, repeats.
Right.
So you have to get creative to make it interesting.
Right, and they did with Mega Fortress. They really did, but and apparently it did well enough to spawn 2 expansions, all of which you can buy on Steam, by the way. It's a really unique, phenomenal game that I wish there would have been more games like it, but nobody ever made another bomber game. So that's one I want. And the final one I'll mention is SWAT 4, because there are a lot of tactical shooters, but they're all shoot to kill. There are not many tactical.
There's Ready or Not, which is a sort of direct spiritual successor to a SWAT 4.
Yeah, but
not the same.
But that's it.
That's really it, and it's not quite the same. It's not. I've played it. It's not a. I don't know if it will end up being as good as SWAT 4, but from what I've played of it, it is nowhere near as good as SWAT 4. If you're unaware, folks, SWAT 4 is sadly the last game in the SWAT series. SWAT 3 and 4 are very similar, actually, so I guess we can lump them in together. SWAT 3 and 4 are basically first-person tactical shooters, but you're supposed to arrest people, not kill people. And the amazing thing about those games, besides the fact that you're not supposed to kill people, is that the placement of everyone else, the levels are the same, but the placement of the people on the levels are randomized, and their behavior is randomized. So you can play one mission, and once you yell at the main perp, he'll like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'll throw his gun down and surrender. You play it again, he's in a different spot and he's super aggro and he will shoot you as soon as he sees you. So
and don't forget they can fake you out as well.
The what? Oh, they can totally fake you out. Yeah. Totally, 100%. So he could be like, okay, I surrender, and then start shooting. So that game I wish would have done better, but everyone was busy playing Rainbow Six and the Ghost Warfighter or whatever the hell that one was called. Like they wanted more shooty and less arresty. So that's one of the reasons I don't think that game. It also wasn't marketed well, and it also came out during like the death throes of Sierra. So like Sierra was pretty much dying at that point. So it wasn't a great time for that game to come out. So besides SWAT 3 and 4 and maybe Ready or Not, that's really it. We covered a lot of games today, you guys. Some I hadn't heard of. But it was a fun trip down memory lane, and I think we covered a lot of good ones. Really good topic idea, Jacob.
Thank you. I tried my best.
No, I mean, when you first met, I'm like, what? And then when it clicked, I'm like, oh, that's not a bad idea at all. No, so that was a fun idea. So that's gonna do it for today's show, my friends. Next week, we're gonna be welcoming on the developer of the space exploration colony building thing, the Banished Vault. Very excited about that. It looks, I haven't played it yet, but it looks very good.
I have. It's really good.
I love that they're selling a printed manual for it. It's only $5, but I mean, it's a printed manual. Oh yeah, sorry. For me, it was only $5. But it's a beautiful manual, and it's. I've been skimming it because I haven't played it yet. It's just a delight to read.
The art is gorgeous.
Oh, the art is amazing. So yeah, that's who we're going to welcome on next week. And what are we streaming tomorrow? Tomorrow we're going to, the Trade Prince. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago, so we're actually going to stream it tomorrow. That's actually...
Oh yeah, good idea.
Yeah, that's a fun game. So that's going to be tomorrow.
When is the week that we're skipping a show?
2 weeks from now, we're skipping because I'm going to be thousands of miles away from here. I don't know if the Wi-Fi on the cruise ship would be good enough, and I'm not taking my laptop.
Yeah, on a cruise ship, no.
Well, the funny thing so we're going on a cruise in a couple weeks. The Wi-Fi itself isn't that great. Plus, if you want Wi-Fi for everyone, like in your party or in your room, you have to pay extra. Otherwise, only one person can use it at a time. It's fucking ridiculous. It is fucking stupid. But
nickel and dime.
That's exactly how they get you. Nickel and dime you. Like, hey, we're going to give you some internet, but do you want to all use the internet at the same time? $90, please. Okay.
They give you a sample of the internet.
Yeah, they give you a taste.
Free sample.
They give you a taste of the internet.
I think you're allowed to go on vacation.
Thank you. No, we paid for this vacation 2 years ago, so we've been looking forward to it ever since the last cruise is when we set up this one.
Nice.
So we're very excited about that. So yeah, 2 weeks, there's not going to be any streams, no podcast or anything, but we have a guest after that. So yeah, we're busy. We're going to be busy. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Be streaming on Discord that work.
Oh, that's true. Spaz will be streaming. Spaz will definitely be streaming.
I'm not sure what I'll be streaming, but I will be streaming every day that week without we're off. So
right. Yeah. Right. So yeah, if you haven't joined our Discord, it's just Discord at spacegamejunkie.com. Spaz will stream a game when I'm not streaming, and lately it's been the Judgment series, but you're almost done that. So now you got to figure out something else. But I'm sure you will. But yeah, so but that's not for a couple weeks yet. So we'll see you back here tomorrow for some trade prints. And thank you for listening, everyone. As always, thank you to everyone who's gotten vaccinated. Thank you so much, because we're still in a pandemic. That's the thing I'm nervous about most going on this trip. Is like we are doing a mini lockdown here. We're like, okay, we can't go to restaurants. We can barely leave the house. We are not getting COVID before this trip. So we're doing like our own lockdown before we go. because we're still in a
Probably
pandemic.
A good idea.
Yeah, we're still in a pandemic, folks. Like we were going to go to a restaurant because it's our wedding anniversary, and like, oh wait, no, we shouldn't do that right now. Maybe an outdoor restaurant, but not an indoor restaurant. So yeah, that's going to do it for today, folks. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thank you again to everyone who's gotten vaccinated, and thank you as always to our patrons. You guys help literally keep the lights on around here, and we love you. And with that, we'll see you back here tomorrow for the Trade Prints.